Hey, this is Emmy Thomas, and I'm here with Marion the Flash Part 2. And I'm going to ask you again, Marion the Flash, what is it like to be you?
Um, I think last time I said lonely and lonely and amazing. Those are the two adjectives that I come up with. So it's really, it's really nice and it's also just really depressing. So, but I'm hoping that it can, I'm keeping hope alive that it can be I can get my happy ending too. So, maybe.
And what is your happy ending, do you think? Like what do you envision it to be?
Ah, ugh. Well, okay, just don't judge me. I have a pretty high standard. But
Okay.
I have I have like a dream of just having I don't want to say like a partner or a soulmate, but at least someone that well, I want to date a female psychopath. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Simply put. And I would love to just have someone that I could connect with, that could be my partner, that would like support me and fully have my back and help me in all my endeavors, in my projects and like running my business and stuff like that. That would
Mm.
be my ideal cut diamond. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, dating another psychopath is has been like super great. I think one of the reasons why is I get you what you're saying, like lonely, because you just kind of think there aren't really people like you. You just don't meet them, or you don't talk to them with much honesty or whatever. Some people have kind of psychopath radar. I don't really. I mean, maybe here and there somebody will say something pretty blatant that'll help me pick up on the fact they're a psychopath, but unless they kind of
Mm,
tell me, I have like a bad sense for it. But
man,
yeah, so you feel a little lonely, and then
I've got I got a homing beacon.
oh, you
Like,
do?
yeah, I mean, it's like it's bad. Like sometimes I could tell if a child's gonna be a psychopath when they grow up. Bro, like it's to the point where it's like a person can say something so subtle, and I'll be like, "Yep, spectrum. They're on the they got something going on, and
Uh-huh.
it's just weird because when I talk with these people, I always have so much hope. I'm like, yes, a friend, but wait, no, what's going on? And I get confused, and it took me a long time to realize like you just can't force yourself on anybody. It's not for everyone.
What do you
And
mean?
what I mean is that what I call those people, I call them in transition. Like so for me, my belief is that it's either it's nature versus nurture. You're either
Mm.
born with it or either something in your life or a combination of the two basically turn you into a psychopath or what I would say is just, or either some people say like open your third eye or just completely reach an enlightenment point. But I think that that's always the goal. That's always been the goal of life. And it just takes some people 60 years and some people they just come out the womb like, oh, okay. Like LeBron James, right? It didn't take this guy long to really just make his mark on the world. And yeah, he went out bad and he was a bit of a crybaby the entire time. These entire 30 years or 20 years he's been playing basketball, but he did it. Like he
Mm.
accomplished it. He accomplished his goal. So even though I'm not a LeBron James fan, I honestly have to respect him at this moment.
So
So
are you saying that like everybody's just on a path to like becoming a psychopath?
yes, basically. Yeah, that's funny, but some people never get there and some people can't get there. Like there are some people like that they'll never be they'll just never have their mind open. And I hate to say it, that's like 70% of the population. In my opinion. I don't have any scientific fact to prove that, but from my experience and my limited travel experience, I really want to travel more so that I can go ahead and like put a fact on these conclusions. Like I want to meet more people. I want to, travel. I want to see what's out there because if you really think about it and you don't really leave outside the US, you're not really, like you haven't seen much of the world, really.
Yeah. That's how I felt too, like, especially meeting the other psychopaths. I thought, I feel like I understand the condition, at least from my own personal lens, and I just thought, let's test it, let's see if I do understand it. But, I still feel like I get I'm tweaking things and learning things and trying to like break out of my biases and my preconceived notions and trying to
Yeah.
just see things purely and not trying to see them through the lens as much as I can, see it not through the lens of just me all the time.
Yeah, it's hard, but sometimes I think it's a great quality to be able to change yourself, to be able to like, hey, wait, this isn't good. I should like change this. Like, I think that's good. I think that says a lot about you.
Yes. I want to get back to maybe just a little bit. Why is it that everybody's trying to reach psychopathy in life? Why do you think that?
They're not. I see. I don't think they are trying to reach it. I just think that it's like it's like the final form. If
Okay.
you're if you're going through a metamorphosis, I think that's where you just end up at the end of your journey. Like if you think about it, like there's so many old couples I know, like good old couples like 70, 65, and they've got everything figured out, they're quiet, reserved, they're not really bothering anybody, and they just really don't make any noise or any motion. I think those are the true like 100% psychos. Like that old couple living in that quiet house over there in the corner, they figured it all out. I'm telling you, because they're not bothering anybody. They're not interfering with anything. No one's noticing them, and they
Uh,
just they're living it simple. Enjoying, really enjoying life.
so you think those are psychopathic characteristics that you're not bothering anybody and you're not really getting noticed?
I think it's more or less like about energy. Like if you have control, complete control of your energy, I just assume you have to be a psychopath
Mm,
because most people aren't really aware of the energy exists. It's funny, like 10 years ago, they weren't even using the word energy, and I was trying to figure out what to call it. I was like trying to I was like zap. Like, am I zapping people? Like, what's going on here? Like, and like I was really big on energy. That was when I was like, this is me projecting my energy. And then I watched this one anime called Avatar, and that's when I just went crazy because it was like an anime where they bent the four elements, like four different elements. They would have basically telekinesis over whatever this element is.
mhm.
And so what I would always say to myself is they're never gonna see me coming because I'm an energy bender. I'm not like a air bender or a water bender. I'm bending actual energy. So like when it comes this way, then I can, you know. And then I had a conversation with my sister, which allowed me to fix myself, like we were talking before, because she's a therapist. She's a therapist, so she deals with a lot of I guess, crazy people and psychopaths and empaths.
Uh-huh.
So she said a patient of hers was an empath, and she said she just kept getting sick and kept getting sick, like she was throwing up, like her body was deteriorating. And she said she would meet with the lady, but the lady was she not sure what's wrong with her, but she said the lady told her that she was getting sick off of the negative energy of the people she was passing by,
Mm.
and it just blew my mind. Like it blew me into the ocean. I was like, I feel like I've been getting sick for 30 years and not thought about the reason why. Like
Mm.
like I don't know, like sometimes I'll just get, if I'm hit with too much negative energy, I just become that, and I just get stuck in like this cesspool of negativity, and it just really brings out the bad side of me. And I
Yeah, this is interesting that you mentioned this. I almost wonder if we talked about this before because I'm getting like a little bit of deja vu, but I have been kind of thinking, like I so this idea of negative energy, which I think everybody can relate to at least a little bit. You like walk into a room and like the vibe is off, versus you can walk into a room and the vibe is great, and it's
Yep.
kind of hard to describe it, whatever it is, people are kind of mentally or emotionally synced up or they're not, or Yeah, I was just
Well,
watching a TV show last night, and one of the characters was like, "I hate women because they're just kind of like so negative energy." And
that's
she's
not
like,
true.
they have good reason to be. She said because there's so much of their life's depressing. She's kind of like she's an older woman, like 50s, 60s or whatever. And she's kind of saying, they've had a hard time of it. And so that's why. But I think everybody kind of knows somebody who's negative energy.
Yeah, well, it's more like for me, okay, I should explain it to you from my point of view. For me, energy is one of those things I just feel really in tune with. Like I can feel it passing by. I can feel it when the wind blows. Like I don't know if I told you last time, like I had the conversation where I was talking about like is God in the wind, and I was just having a debate with myself, and then the wind blew and a tree branch like kind of slapped me in my face, and I was like, oh okay, this is this good humor, like and so me, I don't know, I don't like to infringe on people's personal beliefs, but I'm spiritual and I've always had a weird relationship with God. And I wanted to get into that later because um, when I speak about the loneliness and my love life, I have a bad contract with God. And the problem is that my love life, what he doesn't want me to do because of my nature is, I'm just not really, my nature is just bad, I think. Like I will put something off. I'm a procrastinator. There we go. I'm a
Mhm.
procrastinator and kind of lazy and I have some negative qualities. But the thing is that God he knows all those things. So he's kind of like playing, carrot and stick with me. He's like, "Hey, here's a little bit of carrot, but I need you to do something for me." And I don't think anyone has this type of relationship with God and it's funny because sometimes I hear him say stuff to me and it just doesn't sound like very heavenly. Like it just doesn't come. And I realize, some people they interpret that as how God speaks to you through you. But for me, it's like sometimes he's just like straight to the point, and he's just like, I don't know. And I feel like he just like he tells me these things and he makes me do stuff. And like I had this whole rabbit hole where I was trying to figure out my spirituality and stuff. And I would tell him, I said, okay, so if you're real, I was 16 at this point. And I said, so if you're real, why don't you just show me a sign right here, right now, if you're real? And I was driving down the highway when this happened. And like I didn't see anything. So I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. And like I look up to the right and there's like a billboard. I'm just passing by stuff, but I look at the billboard and there's a big yellow billboard, right? And there's in black letters it says the word sign. And I just thought like this guy is actually hilarious. That's what it is. Like people don't know that, but God has a real great sense of humor, I think, and irony.
Mhm.
So it's really nice for me to be able to do that. And it's like sometimes when I'm lonely, like, he kind of just tells me, he's like, but I got you. And like that makes me feel good. But at the same time, it's sad to feel like the only person you're going to be able to connect with for the rest of your life is God and maybe a couple ghosts. That feels like that's where my loneliness comes from?
Mhm. So let's back up just a little bit. You said that God uses like incentives. He gives you like a carrot to get you to do things. Can you think of like an example of that?
Well, sometimes I make a wish. Like, I'll make a wish and he'll give me what I want. And I like that. So like the fact that I don't know, we have a good relationship. So like most people pray about stuff, right? And then they hope for it and they just hope for like this or that or speedy recovery and over the course of time it happens, but like sometimes I pray and I'm a little awkward with praying because I told you my nature is really shy. Like I'm even shy with God. So when I'm praying, I'm like, hey, kind of awkward. I'm here. Here we go. Gonna try this. And I just don't know how to do it. But when I've tried it, the few times I've tried it, I tell you, probably about 4 out of 5, maybe like 4 out of 7 times, more than half, I will get a lightning bolt response. And I mean, like, as good as like saying, hey, could I just like have this? And he'll just like And to feel like it's a I mean, it's a blessing. Like, could you? I mean, just think about how epic that is, right? You ask for
Hmm.
something and receive it immediately. They talk about people in the Bible that were so close to God, they had to wait so long before they even heard an answer from Him or heard anything from Him at all. And then sometimes He didn't even really speak to them. He would speak through someone else, And I just really thought, and I've always felt like to be that connected with Him and to be that favored is the ultimate blessing. Like I can't, what else could I hope for?
Yeah.
So that's what happens. Sometimes I pray to Him. I mean, one example was I have this theory that I've been looking for love, but I've given up on love, and
See,
it's just a personal thing where I feel that I can't find a person to fall in love with just personally for me. Like I feel like I'm kind of supposed to be I don't want to say supposed to be alone, but I feel like when I'm getting in a relationship, it's a waste of time for me, if that
mhm.
makes sense. Like because
Yes. So
go
you,
ahead.
I mean, you said that you have kind of this bad relationship with love, I think you said, because of the relationship that you have with God, or I guess it's because he gives you stuff right away.
It's the
You feel like
contract.
yeah, okay. But
I
so
have a I
why
have
does
a
that,
I have a
what's the
contract with
connection
him.
there between that and the bad relationship with love?
I have a contract with him, and he won't give me what I want because
Oh,
I'm kind of a brat. That's
okay.
basically the long and short of it.
Okay,
Like,
so he's not giving you love right now, like a love partner, like a romantic partner, because you've been a brat. Is that it?
well, because I'm kind of spoiled, I'm like a spoiled brat, and he's kind of like like a father, like trying to discipline his son.
Yeah.
He's like he wants me to. I know he fully wants me to understand everything and fully be dedicated to like complete the contract and just completely do what it is that he wants me to do. So that if I were to like receive like or have help or have like a partner or some type of enjoyment or interaction with a human being, um, I might just quit. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
Like, I
you
mean,
you
I'm
would
not.
just be like, I'm done with you, God. Now that I've gotten
No,
everything I want.
I wouldn't be like I'm done with you, but I might get a little sidetracked with like looking for love. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm
Uh,
kind of a romantic and I do like
uh-huh.
I do like love. I believe in love, but
Yeah.
so
You,
that's been my nature. I've kind of gotten out of that nature since I hit my 30s, but he would not, he would always and then we have this thing, right? He would always manipulate me. He would use my eyes or my desire or my longing for like this woman that I've been looking for, right?
mhm.
And he would use that to manipulate me. And I think the first time it happened was when I was like 18, but I don't know. I remember when I was 21, I was dating this woman, and she was a huge woman. I mean, she was a huge woman. She was probably about 6'9". No, 6'11". She was 1 inch from 7 feet. And
Wow.
I was like, I don't know, I could just feel everything. Like I felt like this is a person, this is a woman. I felt like she's attractive. I felt like, excuse me, I felt like she's underappreciated. I felt
Mhm.
all the stuff that she's felt over the years being a tall woman in a world where that's dominated by short women. And I don't know. I felt all the stuff that she felt, and I was with her for a long time, and I thought that it was real, but it was really just God manipulating me because she had some weird stuff going on, and she was about to transition into becoming a psychopath because her dad was dying, and sometimes he'll trick me with love or trick me with a chick or a reward or something, and then be like, "Gotcha. Just needs you to be here to do your thing. So you go
Mm.
take care of that. Go make everything better. Go say a couple words, and then that's it. And then I'll never see that person the rest of my life. That kind of sucks. It
Yeah.
does.
Feel like I've had similar experiences where I think, okay, this is like the new thing that I'm doing, and it really is just for some other reason or something, and then it just kind of
Yeah,
ends and you're like, oh, okay. No, that's
yeah.
not the new thing.
I felt like when I realized that I felt like a pawn. I felt very
Mhm.
used and abused, and when I tell you this has happened, like it, this happened a lot of times. Like, I mean, the stuff that I could tell you that I've been through, you probably wouldn't believe. I'm not I'm not going to share everything, but just basically, I've I have this theory that I can't really find a person because one, I need to travel, I need to meet more people, but I I have this theory that in your dreams, which I wanted to tell you that deja vu is really just catching a dream, in my
Mhm.
opinion. And like after my birthday that I told you about last week, I caught like two dreams. But I'm sorry, I'm bouncing now. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the dreams are connected to this reality. And I think if a person can really decipher their dreams, they can kind of figure out what's going to happen next or what's going to happen in the future. So
So
what I
the
really
the the
go ahead.
dreams then what do you mean, is it related to what you were saying about deja vu is catching a dream? Like, what does it mean to catch a dream then?
Well, I mean, when I say catch a dream, I mean a dream that you had. Like, you ever had a dream that you didn't quite remember, but you felt like something important happened, and you were like, "Yeah, whatever." And then later on, you might just be living or talking or something, and you have a deja vu, and you're like, what is this weird feeling that I'm having? Like I've been here before. And what my theory is on that is that is what is catching a dream. That is catching
Oh,
up with the moment in reality that you've actually already seen and the
okay.
the the difference in those things. Like, so like if in your dream it was supposed to happen one way, but something happened, like the butterfly effect, something small happened to change it. That disassociation that you feel when you feel the deja vu,
Mm.
that's what that is.
Hmm.
I feel like that's the merging of the realities. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's always
Yeah, a
like a
little bit.
negative backlash. There's
I
always
wonder, I just watched a movie. It's called A Knock at the Cabin Door. Have you seen it or heard anything about it?
Yeah, I heard about it. I want to see it.
Yeah. And I guess it's based on a book too, by kind of a prominent. It's you think it's going to be horror for some reason it seems like it's marketed as horror, but really it's like just like all about visions and the apocalypse. I hope that's
Okay.
not like a spoiler for people, but it's like these people have a vision, and then they're kind of like, this is what we have seen in our vision. And it's really interesting because here are people that, they believe so strongly in these visions that they've like shown up from wherever they are from, wherever they
Hmm.
live, to this whatever remote location based on the vision. And they do all these other kind of crazy things based on the visions, like to I'll keep it general to kind of like not spoil it too much. But then there are also kind of like little things that are different from their visions a little bit. They're
Oh
like enough
yeah.
the same. Yeah, including one at one point, one of the people's like, "Oh, I've already seen this like news report," and then quotes along with it the news report, like word for word for word. But then there are like little differences, and it's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see them be like, okay, yeah, I guess it's slightly different than I expected, but it's still a lot the same. But
Yeah.
it was really interesting. It kind of reminded me of what you just said about deja vu.
I think it's close enough to make a difference. And I think
Yeah.
the fact that you saw this in this movie means that there's somebody out there that's feeling that and experiencing it. At least one person. Like, you don't just cook up a weird idea like that and present it. And I just feel like when they make these movies, they're really just kind of reaching out, but also just trying to express themselves, and what they're feeling. But then they're
Hmm.
like, oh, it's just creative stuff. Don't believe that, like just hee hee ha, it's a joke.
Well,
But
see, so here's the weird part too. I afterwards was like read the book, and the book and the movie like diverge like to like pretty extreme respects. But interestingly, like I hope this is not spoiling it either. The movie stays more kind of true, let's say, to your vision of reality. And in the
Mm,
book, they kind of make it a lot more ambiguous about like what's happening. It's like so it's really interesting. Like I think that's true of most movies is that they're kind of like, yeah, isn't that kind of crazy or whatever? But this one I was like, this is almost like, like it's the opposite, I think. I think they
yeah,
treat the subject really seriously, oddly seriously for a movie.
I kind of I like movies like that, and I really like any movie that has substance.
Mhm.
And I love the ones where you got to think and figure stuff out, and the series that have like the foreshadowing and stuff. But that stuff is just really just a formula.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a lot has happened since the last time we talked, and I know sometimes I end up rambling. It's because I'm really bad. Like I have like a scatterbrain thought process, and then one thing triggers another thing, and then I'm like, and I used to have like a whiteboard for this. Like I used to, I literally went like CSI detective on this. Just
Mm.
I went crazy. I went crazy, man. I was in that little apartment, and a lot of stuff happened. Like I got divorced. Had a lot of death in my family, and I just like at this point, I'm just talking to God, and I was just like, okay, I get it, bro. Like, chill, calm down. I get it. And he's like, and then I'm like, and I wasn't even upset because I looked at it and I was like, well, who else could really deal with all of this crap right now?
Mm.
Like, who could deal with all of this? And this was like at the beginning of COVID. Who could deal up with all of this and have all this stuff? And I was a my position when I was during COVID was I was responsible for a lot of like young adults. You know, I was a general manager. I'm not gonna say at which restaurant, but I was a general manager and I was responsible for a lot of young adults.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
being an empath, being a person that pays attention and sees stuff to see the COVID, the spread of COVID from one individual to another, the lies that these corporate places told to get this blood money because we went from making 44,000 to making 56,000. You know,
Wow.
it was clearly there was some blood money on this, and I just, I thought I could do it because, but like some of these people were innocent. Like these kids were innocent. I
Mhm.
just, I couldn't do that. I can do a lot of bad things now. For the most part, I don't have a conscience at all. But like, I'm kind of old school. Like the women and children thing is a no no for me. Like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna mess with no kids because these kids, I would follow them sometimes on social media, and I saw this one kid, and he was on the social media like doing whatever what kids do, whatever. And the kid like he starts coughing, and I knew immediately. I was like, this guy works in my restaurant. Like he got that from this restaurant. I
Mhm.
know he did, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I went through so much, and I was going through a divorce, and then yeah, it's just a lot. And at some point, I went crazy, and all this really happened because this is how I kind of like found my way to you. Because I was standing there with my ex, and we were watching the first 48, and this lady, they said that they caught her. She murdered her daughter, and they said they caught her, and the only way they caught her is because they did the science and they realized that no human could have such jaded emotions after losing a child.
Ah,
They said that this woman had to be a sociopath. And I
right.
had never heard this word in my life. I had heard it, but I just always, generalized it and was like, whatever that is. So then I started searching, I did a Google search, I checked it out, and I have no idea how I found your book. I have no
Mm.
idea, but it just came to me. And then, I started reading and I just killed it. And I was like, well, I got to figure out who this woman is because if this woman's here, then it's like, we can't be alone out here,
Mm.
right? Like there's got to be hope. There's other people.
Right.
And yeah, that happened. That's changed my life. I've been very productive financially since talking with you. So thank you for that.
Okay.
Um,
Awesome.
as far as like we were talking last time about the manifesting, I've been able to control that like way more efficiently.
Nice. Mhm.
And like I mean, for instance, like when I'm talking about manifesting, I mean like I used to work as a in the corporate world, as a general manager. I had my own restaurant. I had a nice salary, all that good stuff, benefits, all
Mhm.
that stuff. But now I do my own salary, I
Mhm.
make my own benefits and I set up my own stuff because I work for myself. And the people that are basically under me are going that's my first line of employees. I'm working on the money to pay them. But anyway,
Mhm.
basically I could never work for someone else again because if COVID came out and they told me that I had to let a bunch of kids get sick, I would say screw it. I would go
Mhm.
broke. And if it's
Mhm.
my business and that happens again, then I can do what I want. And that's what I
Right.
said. So I won't work for someone again. I won't work for, quote unquote, the man. I won't do it again. And so now what I do is I just manifest money. Sometimes I work in a casino
Mhm.
and I found this is the best application for a psychopath, right? Because these it is the best, right? Because they're just in here just living their average lives. Really, most of them are, more, they're well off. They're just coming in here really to lose money.
Mhm.
So what I do is I'm really good at quote unquote stealing because I don't really steal, but stealing money out of the pots. So if I deal, I just kind of use my psychopath thing to tell where everybody's mind is at, like what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and your empath, so you can feel the negative energy if they're, watching you or whatever. And I'm really good at it. So I started doing that, and I'm able to like kind of just like make money come out of thin air. And
Mhm.
then I'm using it to kind of fund my business, like which I'm sure like there's got to be some kind of illegal stuff at some point, like. But I never claimed to be like like a white knight or something. If anything, I'm more like a Venom, like an anti-hero or
Mhm.
like a yeah, like a dark hero or
Yeah.
whatever.
I'm going to pause you here for a hot
Okay.
second and say something about kind of like when I first started trading stocks in the stock market, I would like read a bunch of books and stuff about kind of the psychology of trading stocks. And one book mentioned that if you feel like you haven't earned the money, then you'll find some way to give it back to the market is kind of
Hmm.
like the concept. And so what you saying that it's kind of like slightly rich people who are just trying to lose money.
Yeah,
I I do think it's interesting. And I think sometimes it's hard when people think of like the word manifesting. It sounds like, something that can't be possible, like
it's
it sounds like something that's not reality, but it's
yeah.
it's interesting. Like there, I do think if you believe, for instance, that's possible. So, I'll kind of give like tease out this hypothetical a little bit more. So the concept of giving back money, let's say you invest in like Acme stock or whatever,
Hmm.
and you end up like becoming a trillionaire because of it, just using exaggerated things. But you think, well, I didn't really do anything. I just like lucked out, I just whatever this. You don't think you're kind of worthy of it. And so you just think, like, um, this is not who I am. And so you kind of find ways to like increasingly take more risks with that money until it gets down to about what you expect out of life, right? That's kind of the concept that the book was trying to talk about with the psychology of stock trading, which is a crazy, crazy topic. And I do think that most people acknowledge that psychology and emotions and everything else does play a role in people's success in trading
And you know what? You
stocks.
you blew my mind when I was reading in the book and you were talking about the different people, like very successful sociopaths. And I was
Mm,
like, of course they are. Like, if there's
mm,
anybody with the mindset that I had, because let me tell you, when I went to this company, I had no idea if it was really going to be successful. I sort of just had a plan and I was like, just going to go in there and just climb the ladders. And I mean, like, I started off as a cook or like a team member, and then I went to like team leader. After that, I went to manager, and after manager, I went to assistant manager, and after that, I went to general manager. But this was
mhm,
like 7 levels that I covered. I covered this in a year and a half in this
mhm.
company. And everyone was
Mhm.
just like, what is this guy? What is he doing? What's going on? And all I could tell them is that, look, I know that we're supposed to be nice to everyone, but the sad truth is that all people are not created equal. And I believe that, and I'm just not equal to whatever it is you're doing. And it's like, I'm sorry because, and I noticed that narcissism is hard to get rid of when you're a psychopath. Like, I'm just judging myself. Like, I'm trying not to be narcissistic, but I can't help but have like confidence in myself, if
Yeah,
that makes
yeah, my mom just discovered novelty t-shirts.
okay.
So for Christmas, she got everybody, like whatever t-shirts. Like she got my sister-in-law one that says I'm the boss or something. And the t-shirt she gave me is Jesus loves everyone, but I'm his favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one
But
she gave me.
but but what's so is a novelty t-shirt like when they you just put your own words on it?
Well, I think she just found like a site that did it, but that's the one she thought of me. But I just thought of it because, like when you say it's hard to give up your ego, and it's funny that she chose that one for me. And she's like, yeah, I thought that that's how you kind of
Yeah.
think. And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I do think that. Like, I'm his favorite, Jesus's favorite.
Well, to be honest with you, I feel the exact same way. And I think,
Hmm.
well, this is probably like the only clue I can really give you towards like um my actual identity. But I looked it up, and then when I compared my name to biblical names in the Bible, um yeah, I was totally God's favorite. I mean, it
Uh-huh.
basically said in the Bible that I was God's favorite, and I
Mm,
thought, cool, like this explains a lot of things to me, because I've always felt a little entitled, and I've always felt like like sometimes I didn't care about money because I was always good at manifesting money. Like I could be dead broke, and then I could be like pretty well off in like a matter of months. And I just never cared about money or had any value on it because, I know what it does to people. I just don't let it like do that to me.
mhm,
So, now I'm at this point where I'm like, I really want to just accomplish whatever it is that I have to do. I mean, honestly, God's just beaten me to the point of where I'm like, okay, I understand, and I'll be this like spiritualist warrior that you want me to be. And to be honest with you, I've done a lot of awesome stuff. Like, I started a family. I was responsible for a kid being born.
mhm,
Like not my kid, but like I created a relationship that created like happiness and brought joy to like this one kid and brought another kid into the world, like
mhm,
and then gave the one child, gave him a brother. Like I feel like that's good work, I think. You know?
mhm.
They were two employees of mine, and
I see.
they were just totally like in love with each other, but they didn't kind of know how to
That's
get to one another. So I just kind of, gave them a little nudge in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm
And then
gonna
someone told me
pause.
this. Oh, sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. Do you have a continuing thought?
No, yeah. Well, I have a conclusion. They say if you do something right, um,
Mhm.
it's almost like you didn't do anything at all. But that
What do
was
you
that
mean?
was all. Well, they say if you're doing it right, if you're doing something for the right
Oh,
reason, then
mhm.
no one will really notice that you were there. You know?
Yeah, interesting. Like a psychopath, like these old couples that you mentioned, nobody will
Yeah.
notice you're there because you're so kind of in sync, I guess, with what should be happening that you don't
Exactly.
you don't stick out like a sore thumb.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting. So kind of getting back to this idea of like manifesting, like I think certain people hearing the word manifest, and maybe not understanding what it means. And I think we talked about this like last time, but getting back to this idea that I mentioned about like psychologically, there are just certain beliefs that we have that are limiting or that are kind of, I guess you could imagine if there are limiting beliefs, they limit the kind of information we take in, and they limit the way we feel about it, like depression is an example of a mental condition that people experience in which it often is limiting, like they don't perceive things as positively as they would if they weren't experiencing depression. So if you kind of think of, if there's something to that where you can like psychologically give money back to the market and you can psychologically kind of have limiting beliefs, then there's like a flip side, which is just that you can kind of take money from the market and you can have enabling beliefs, right? So it's not crazy. It's, in this world in which we only perceive a certain amount and kind of only allow ourselves to like um take in information that mostly supports our preconceived notions about things, then if you're able to somehow shift that and see things that other people aren't seeing and kind of take
Yeah.
advantage of that, yeah. So that when you say manifesting, that's what I perceive is that you're shifting your kind
So
of mentality to look for those opportunities to like, take opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise notice.
okay, so I'll give you an example, right?
Uh-huh.
So I told you I work in the casino. I work as a dealer. So one of my good friends, he comes up to the game and he wants to play. And I told him, I said, look, today I want you to understand what I'm doing. It was actually my birthday. And there's superstition that says if you play or if you gamble on your birthday, that you have all the magic and luck in the world. And of
Mm.
course, as a psycho, this is something that I'm gonna abuse. So what I told him is I said, I'm dealing, I'm guaranteed to make money tonight, but I can't play. I can't use any of this birthday magic that I have all saved up. I was hoping to use today. And I said,
Mm,
but you're the closest friend I have here. So I really
mm,
want it to be you that wins. And when I tell
mm,
you, like, it's not like I cheated, like I didn't set the deck or anything, but when I tell you,
right.
I put all my mental energy towards him winning, and like the manifestation came true, and it
Uh-huh.
happened. And all that I want from anyone, if you're gonna follow me, if we're gonna do this thing, right? I just want a little kickback. That's it. And we got into an argument about it too, because I told him, I said, bro, if I wake you up, because really he was asleep, and I told him, I said, get up, let's go get some money. So
Mhm.
if I wake you out of bed to make you go and get money, the least you can do is buy me a hot fudge sundae.
Right.
And I was arguing with him about it, and I was like, I feel like you owe me a hot fudge sundae because I gave you my birthday magic. And it was the
Yeah.
weirdest argument. And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, now you want to be human. This is my friend. He likes to switch back. He likes to go back and forth. He
Oh.
wants to be a psycho 1 minute, then he wants to be normal another minute. And I said,
Mm.
don't switch back now. You didn't switch back. And we got into an argument about it, but we worked it out because we went up
Ugh.
there another day, and that was the day I told you that we changed the reality. We were there, we were late, but we needed everyone
Mhm.
else to be later than us. We needed someone to
Yeah.
get stopped at a red light. We needed one guy to get pulled over. We needed one guy to, leave his wallet at home and turn back around. So all three of those things happened for us, and I was just like, manifestation is the realest thing in the world. How could you?
Mhm.
How could you deny it?
Yeah, it's interesting, and if people, one thing that I like about truth seekers is they tend to kind of say you can just see for yourself.
Yeah.
You can try it. Yeah, try it yourself, see if it works. If
It,
it doesn't work, then okay, it's not working, and if it does work for you, then great.
well, well, the book is out on that one. Like, so I think it's all about how much energy you have, right? How
Mm.
much energy you have and what level you are as a psycho.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have a real name or way to gauge this before. So you helped me out a lot with that. But I feel like, if we did this on a ranking scale from like 1 to 5, I would say. I don't think it needs to be 10. 1 to 5. I would say your average person, your average cycle is probably like a 3 or something. And to really like manifest, you would probably have to be like a 3 or above. Like
Uh-huh.
average people can do it, but it's not going to be something that they can regularly do and control.
Uh-huh.
And then you have those people that were just like they were just born cycles, right? So they come out the womb manifesting stuff. Babies, they come out having temper tantrums and making the weather go from clear skies to thunderstorms. And you're like, what's going on? Why does this baby have so much power? And it's just they were just born like that. I've seen them. I've seen kids that they'll shock me because I know that I'm pretty high level in my opinion. I'll say that. But like sometimes I'll see a kid that's younger than me, and I'll be like, this kid's gonna kill me. Like they're
Mhm.
they're gonna crush my legacy. Like this is gonna be the top psycho definitely one day because yeah, there's just no way. Like they just have so much potential.
Mm.
And I think the more time and generation goes on, the more time our genes and chromosomes have to mutate, you know?
Mm.
Because it's kind of like it's a lot like X-Men,
Yes.
we're kind of just mutants if you think about it.
Yeah. But so you're saying you're used to this manifesting, but that it's not been working recently with regard to manifesting a romantic partner.
It's not been working ever with the romantic partner, but
Mm-hmm.
that's just a part of my contract and God trying to like discipline me. Like I had these issues like with all these type of deadly sins. Like vanity was a big one for me, and vanity, I was so stuck on vanity that he actually killed somebody. Who was that? Oh yeah, it was my dad. Sorry, but
Mm-hmm.
like he kind of like took my dad from me, and I was really like young and traumatized by it, and I worshiped my dad. So like when it happened, it was just one of those things for me where I had made the mistake of like thinking that the death wasn't going to be final. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's when I started realizing that manifestation was real. For anyone that doesn't believe in manifestation, this is how I realized it. I was always a loner. So when my dad was sick and I was in school, I had this uh I had this thought, of killing him. I don't know, not like killing him, but I was just like, like if we just let him just go ahead and pass away, then I was thinking, I was like, all the kids at school will feel sorry for me, I'll get a lot of
Mm.
attention or something. And it was like, it was one of those sick psycho thoughts that you have. I don't know if you ever have those, like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I had it, and then the moment I had it, like, I guess it connected to him, and he felt it, or whatever. I feel like almost like a telephone wire connection to him, and he just died.
Mm.
And from that moment forth, I realized the that I had to be humble, that I couldn't just be vain, I couldn't just be what I wanted to be and just be wild. I had to learn these lessons because he was teaching them, man. Like, and then all this stuff happened, like I told you, billboard with the sign, and yeah.
Mm.
But for my love life, I'll tell you. So this is a great, amazing story. Last week was my birthday. I made a wish on my birthday, because
Mm.
someone was like, blow out the candles, make a wish.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this girl I'm interested in, but she kind of has a boyfriend. And they've been together for a long time. Like I'm not, I've been a homewrecker before. God, I've been a homewrecker. Like I've been a homewrecker. I've been living with a couple before and then wrecked the home. I've been
Mm.
outside the home and wrecked the home. Like I've done that before, not claiming to be a saint here. But
Uh-huh.
as I learned and changed my ways to more towards doing good things, I just kind of just chill. So like I like the girl, but I don't say anything. I just kind of like chill and hang out. And we have like this friend group, so we're all friends. I don't say anything. But yeah, so my birthday wish was I was like, man, I wish I could just like get a moment alone with this girl to find out if she's really a psychopath. Like most people want to get alone with the girl so they can like fill her up or something. But me, I'm like, hmm, is she a psycho? Is she crazy? Let's see
Mm.
how crazy she really is. And I that that wish came true like
Mm.
4 days later. And I don't know if you remember, I told you like he always makes me wait. Like sometimes he'll just be like lightning bolt, but for the most part, if I make a wish that I don't expect to come true, it'll come true like 4 or 5 days later.
Mm.
So but sometimes the next day. So anyway, I met with this woman, and we didn't do anything. I mean, it was like, we didn't do anything that would be considered bad, I guess. Like
Mm-hmm.
we just talked. We just talked like me and you were talking.
Mm-hmm.
But and we also talked about you because she's not a transitioning psychopath. She's a lost psychopath. Does that if that makes sense? She's already there. Like she's very powerful. She understands stuff. She's manifesting on some level already. certain things. She's manifesting, she's controlling, she's feeling things. She's doing a lot of psychopathic things, but she doesn't know anything that I know. She just thinks that she's crazy. She's like, oh, I must be a schizophrenic or something, or a psycho. And the moment I said
Mhm.
the word psycho, she was like, yeah, I figured that out when I was real young. I was like, oh, okay. Hmm. Interesting. So that happened for me, and I can't I could go into more detail, but basically we had a conversation that lasted for 4 hours, but the approximate time and details discussed were probably about 10 hours worth of
Mhm.
time. So it was like what I call, and this is for the anime fans, I call it the hyperbolic time chamber. And it was a time chamber in Dragon Ball Z where you could go in there and an hour would equal a day.
Ah,
So so if you spent 1 hour in the if you spent 1 hour in the time chamber, it would equal a day in reality. So
uh-huh.
when people wanted to go and train or they wanted to practice for something, they would go in this hyperbolic time chamber to basically hone their skills. And I think I got it wrong. I think they were in there for like 2 days and it was like 2 years. So I think it
Oh.
might be a different scale. But I know this guy went in there and he was like a boy, and he came out and he was kind of grown. He was like a adolescent. So
Uh-huh.
so I'm looking at it like, I've always made that analogy. So when people say I've been training or I've been working on something, I say, yeah, you've been in a hyperbolic time chamber, huh? You've been working that butt off. You've been so that's one of just my nerdy analogies I always use
Mhm.
from anime, which is a lot like shows. I think these shows and these animes they all connect to this psychopathy. I think it's all very connected.
How do they connect to the psychopathy?
Well, I think a lot of times, like the people that write the shows, like my favorite show that I made the company about that came back, it's very much about angels and demons and Shinigami and like devils and stuff like that, and like the balance of good and evil, and then they show you that things aren't always what you think they are.
Yeah,
And then even when you think you understand what's going on, they pull the rug out from under you, and the life is a lot like that. I think
right.
so. A lot of these different shows, and I don't know how to describe it, but I just feel it. Like I feel like chills or the goosebumps, or the hair stand up, and I could just feel it when a show connects to something related to psychopathy. And then I
So
can
do
also
you
go
do
ahead.
you kind of associate psychopathy with just like perceiving truths that most people are oblivious to?
I think that I look at it as a full package, right? I think that if a person can do some of the things that I'll say I can do, then they must be on the road to being a psychopath at least.
Mm.
I don't know, this. I don't know if that's what it is truly, but I know that being a psychopath can't be too far from being enlightened spiritually because
It is
most go ahead.
it is interesting because Buddhist monks have like a similar they become more psychopathic. Like I can post the link to the article, but as they train, they're able to read people better, kind of like like they're able to pick up when people are feeling emotions that are often difficult to detect, and they also have like a lower startle response. Like in the experiment, they shot a gun, as close to the ear as is like, the threshold for human tolerance.
Oh,
And so, yeah, psychopaths and monks both have very low startle response and are very good at like reading people and like seeing their unexpressed emotions.
I've always wanted to be a monk because I want to stop talking. Because what I do is I talk about psychopathy because I've kept it bottled up for most of my life, and I talk about it, and people don't like it. But also, like when I don't talk about it, I kind of exude confidence, and people don't like that. So
Uh-huh.
sometimes I get into fights very easily, and I avoided one the other day. This guy, he just asked me straight out. He said, "Do you want to fight?" I said, "I'm not even going to answer your question. I'm not even going to talk to you. I don't know if this is a joke. I don't
Mm,
understand." And I wish I could have just told him, "I'm not from this country or this planet. I don't
yeah.
understand your sense of humor, and I don't get it. And I feel like there's a confrontation happening, so I'm just going to walk away."
Mhm.
But most times I'll say, "What? Why would you ask me that?" Next thing I know, I'm in a fist fight, and I'm like, I just don't understand these humans because. And then I realized later on that this person only wanted to fight me because they resented me because they caught me in like a moment where I wasn't being humble or I was letting my true personality show. And sometimes it happens. Like if someone upsets me, I might get mad at them and call them like puny humans or something. I might, because I have a bit, um, what do they call it? Megalomania. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I got a little bit of that going on. So but usually when I do that, I usually like am successful and I prove my point, and a lot of people shut up because I usually know what I'm talking about. So I keep a firm grip on reality. I have checks and balances because as a person that sees visions, I have to make sure that what I'm seeing is actually true. So I've always checked to make sure reality, like sometimes you have to touch it or poke it just to make sure it's really there. So when people tell me something happened that didn't happen, I'm like, no, you're gonna lose this one because you don't know I'm crazy. I double checked that already. You have no idea. Like, if you're thinking this happened, trust me, I already checked it 3 times because I didn't believe it either.
Mm.
So now I've been making money and manifesting. Like I got this guy for $50 the other day. He said, you did this or you did that. And I said, no, this didn't happen. And he was getting on my nerves because he kept telling me I did something I didn't do. So I said, oh, well, you must want to like bet $50 that you're right. Since you're so sure that you know what happened. And he said, "Yeah, I want to bet 50. Bet." So then we ran the camera back, and of course I was right. And it was just the easiest $50 I've ever gotten in my life. I wish I had said 150. Like I don't, I wish I had. But that's what I mean. Like it's easy. Like if you just hope for it and just give good vibes and the good energy, then it'll eventually happen. Like it'll come to you. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
tell you. I think yesterday I made like probably $450 just hoping that it would come to me, and it was great for me. And I'm just trying to be like every day. I wish I could make like $400.
Yeah.
Manifest $400, $500, and I think that'll be like a nice quota. You don't want to be too greedy, but then I want to kind of put it on a different scale. Like can I manifest like times five? Like, is it possible? If I have a friend that's also a psychopath and we both manifest on the same thing, what would the results be? You know? So that's what I deal with. That's what I'm researching and trying to find out about.
I like this. I like you have a little research project going for you right now.
Yeah, well, it's great, and I've always considered myself a bit of a scientist, and oh, but I forgot to tell you about the love life. I got distracted. So, about a year ago, 2 years ago, towards the end of my marriage, which was really the reason the end of it, I met this woman, and she was promiscuous, to put it lightly. Let's say that she was not your average woman, and I know that also that most psychopaths have a higher sex drive than your average person, which
Oh,
is a
yeah.
which is a weird a weird quirk to have. But anyway, so I met the woman, and I'm having details, and when I tell you this was a night where I felt literal electricity in my fingertips. I felt the like the range of my energy. I felt it like swarm over other people, and I felt them like being crushed under the pressure. And I was playing cards that night. So sometimes I'll try to I'll gamble, or a house will pay me to gamble. That's another thing I have going on, right? So since I'm a psycho, I can read people and I can tell when they're lying or bluffing and stuff. I can pretty much tell what they're thinking. So what I do is I tell what they're thinking, and I place my bets based off of that. And
Mm.
I just run a really tight ship. So when people see me do that, they're like, "Oh my god, this guy is amazing. How did he do that?" And they're like, "You're playing, cards, you're not playing poker. That's not real poker." I was like, "I'm not playing poker. I'm playing future poker." And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I told them, I said, "If I'm in the hand, it's because I'm going to win the hand." And they said, "How
Mm,
do you know if you're gonna win the hand?" And I said, "Because you gotta talk to the cards. Like, if you look at the cards and they speak to you, then you know you have something good." So like
mm,
I had a hand and they were like, it was just like, "How did you know? How did you know?" And I was like, "I'm a poker psychic. That's
mm,
what you should call me." So sometimes I do that, and like the houses are these people with the big money. A house is basically someone that runs their own casino or their own like setup or something.
mhm,
And basically, when they come to the games, if they see me there, so what this is what I do now. I just go and I'll just stand there. I'll just go and I'll just stand there and just wait. And someone will see me and be like, "Hey, you want to work? You want to make money? Do you want a deal? Can I get you to play for me, please?" And they're just all
mm,
asking me, and it's great because I don't even have to have a dollar in my pocket. Like I literally one time I walked into this casino with nothing in my pocket and walked out with $800.
mm.
And that was half of the money because when someone pays you to work for them, they get
Right.
half, you get half. So I really made 1,600, but I just made 800 off of my clout alone, just being, my name and having a good reputation. And then I think you tipped me $100, so I made like $900.
Mm,
And I'm like, it's just hard for me to be like, I want to go work a 9 to 5 if you can manifest money. Because
yeah.
like my whole life I've been trying to bring this crazy stuff that I'm talking about because that's what me and my mom argue about. She's like, "Okay, if it's so great, make some money off of it." I said, "Okay, bet." And then I told her I tried to manifest $100 bill, and the $100 bill fell out the sky. And I told her, I said, "Boom!" I showed it to her. Right? She didn't believe it. She said, "Whatever, that was just lucky." So now I've been doing my own business thing, and she knows about it, and I'm telling her, and she's like, you might be right. And she also is a fan, I guess, because she watched the video
Mm,
that we did.
mhm.
And it's great because she's like she's the only one that's on the level that I could cope with, like, I know where she's at. She's definitely like a 4 out of 5. I wouldn't give her a 5 because she doesn't have none of the evil side of it. She's a very nice lady.
Yeah.
But as far as strength and power, like she's very powerful. She could tell you a lie and it would become the truth. That's strong. Like I've never it's not like she's a liar. She doesn't lie, but she could just whatever she says will just become reality. And I don't know. It's just crazy because I got her DNA, so very proud of her.
Yeah, I guess so. So you have that project going on. You're kind of you got your little scientific truth seeking project. Have you ever thought, one thing I've thought about and I thought about this recently with Arya. She was kind of going through some stuff. She has like a tendency to like want to, I call it kind of the playground era, which is
Okay.
like you're in your, late teens, maybe early 20s, where it's like you feel the most like Teflon, as a
Mhm.
psychopath. Like nothing really seems to stick, like no bad consequences seem to like matter somehow. It's like everything ends up like kind of shaking out and working to your favor. And then during that time period for her, she was very kind of just didn't care about anything, was like very carefree is a good way to put it. And I mean, that's a great way to be. I remember being that way too, super carefree. Everything in
Yeah.
life felt fine because you just thought everything was going to work out because it always had worked out for you before. Or, if you had problems, it didn't really seem like they bothered you that much. Here and there, she kind of wants to get back to that playground stage, and she kind of talks about being tempted to do it, and she says that it's like suddenly there's like a fuck it button, like asking for her to just press it and be like fuck it.
Press it. Press the button.
Yeah, yeah, just fuck it, and so she says she's kind of thinks though like it's like a longing for the playground in which she was like that all the time. And she says when she feels it though, the feeling that she gets is kind of like this fear of boredom, because that is like the one thing that she suffered from the most, like psychopathically, is like boredom and the need for stimulation. And if she's in a situation maybe that kind of seems too like regimented, or seems too predictable, or seems like even kind of like a little too, she would say chickeny, but some other people might understand it better, like rat racy, like you're just in a normal job with
Yeah.
normal, yeah, you're in a relationship with somebody, you like Netflix and chill most nights and stuff, like it's pretty predictable, that sort of stuff kind of can give her an existential dread, because she's so worried that the boredom will come from it. Like she'll end up being bored and feeling the boredom in a way that like makes her feel like worse than anything,
Yeah.
like worse than physical pain. And I kind of said to her, there's a scripture in the New Testament when Saul is on the road to Damascus and the angel comes and says, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And I always remember that song because, or I remember that because of a piece, a musical piece that I had to study in university. And it's like, Saul, 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 in German. So it's easy for me to remember the line or whatever. That's how I remembered, okay, that's this piece or whatever. But it ends with the angel saying, it is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. And that's one phrase that I've always thought about when I keep ending up in the same type of situation, keep trying to do the same thing with regard to, reacting the same way to the same problem and ending up with like no solution still. And I think about that of myself. Like it's hard to kick against the pricks. Like, why do I keep why do I keep fighting something instead of just allowing to go, like get in the channel of the flow of life or whatever, and like whatever I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be,
Yeah.
and just go with it. Like, why am I kind of like insisting on not doing that and holding back or hanging back or trying to change things or trying to kind of whatever. So I kind of told Arya, I was like, there's probably, and this is kind of something that I feel is true, that if you end up in the same situation, like she keeps feeling like she's presented with this fuck it button, and like gets as existential dread about boredom, it like instead of trying to avoid the situation, if you can just kind of like embrace it, and like kind of like condescend to it, to just kind of experience it, to not be like I'm too good for this, to kind of
Yeah.
just be like I am just going to sit with this, even though I don't like it, and even though she says that man, what's the word, disgusting, I think is how she kind of like thinks of the boredom. She's like, it's just so like, repulsive, I think is what she said. That sense that she might be experiencing boredom is so repulsive to her. So she like fights it, she fights it so hard, the same way that Paul is fighting, the truth, I guess is what the angel's saying. Like, it's hard for you to kick against the pricks, like you're
Yeah.
fighting against something so stupid. It's like people who like punch a door or something. Like
Yeah.
the door, the door's
I
just
could
gonna stay
never
the door. Your
I could
hand's the
never
one that's
understand that.
gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who does I could never understand, like, how do you get to the point where you're like, all right, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna punch this door. All right, here we go. Like,
Hmm.
did your brain not have, okay, so there's something that's related to that. And it's, of course, it's I'm sure I mentioned I'm an anime nerd, but it's an anime reference, right? And it's called they call it Ultra Instinct, right?
Mm.
And that's been one of my goals. It's funny that you said it, but it's basically in the show, it's the ability for this guy to fight without his brain telling him
Mm.
what to do. So instead of his brain saying throw a punch, move left, move right, kick, it's an automatic flow. His body naturally feels what it should do. So
Hmm.
his brain, those 0.5 seconds that it took for the brain to send those signals for him to move, they're taken out of the equation.
Right.
So instead, he's just working on straight instinct. And I think that correlates with a lot of this stuff because a lot of times I find out that I lose or I'm not prosperous or successful when I
Mhm.
fight against my natural intuition. Like, you ever
Yes.
just have that thought that's like, hey, this is what you should do. Then you're like, wait, but then no, I try to stay on the first train of thought, the first track, because sometimes when I do, it's just, I mean, it's like that one perfect flow moment, like where everything is just firing. And to be honest, like, okay, so I have these signifiers, like I know if I'm on the right track if my song comes on, right? If the
Mhm.
if I turn on the radio and a song is coming that speaks to me, I know I'm in the right place at the right time. So my timing is impeccable. I'm good at timing. My
Mhm.
real superpower, I think, is being in the right place at the right time. I think to put a nail on it. So if I hear the song, I know I'm at the right place. If the song, if I start driving and I'm at the end of the song, I know I'm 5 minutes behind. You
Mm.
know, if I start
Interesting.
and then if the song just comes on, or it comes on in a few minutes, then I know I'm a few minutes ahead and I can take my time. And
Hmm.
then sometimes there was like a day where I went to get in the shower, and I'm always good at timing. Like I run time in my head for some reason, but I'm always just counting, right? So like I try to shower for like 10 minutes and then get dressed and be gone in like 20 minutes flat, right? But then
Mhm.
I look at the clock and it's been like 40 minutes and I realize, okay, this is not, I'm not tripping. We spinning faster today. Like,
Mhm.
I don't care what you say. This earth is rotating fast, slightly faster today. And I swear it was the theme the entire day, losing track of time. Like, it was, I don't know. It was just weird to be able to feel that and for it to actually be relevant. And it's like, it gets to a point sometimes, like, when you are really like in your psychopath tendencies, it's hard to realize, like, is this stuff really happening, or is this reality happening as I'm creating it? Like, is this
Yeah.
stuff happening because I believe it, or like, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I get stuck on that, but I also got distracted. I meant to tell you the slightly promiscuous girl love
Mm.
story. I prayed about her also. So this wasn't a week long answer. This was a day. I had just like wrecked my car or something, and I was laying in the grass, and I was just like so sad. I was like, this is miserable, and like I was laying in the grass, and I was like so tired of just being alone and like not being able to speak to anybody because for me it's torture, like to have so many thoughts, to see so many things happen. Like I see everything happen. Like I'll see this guy drop $5, then I'll see some guy come and put his foot on it and try to steal the $5. you know I'll see some guy sneeze or something and know it means that this is going on, or I'll see some guy drop a pack of cigarettes and then or something.
Mm.
I'm just seeing
Mhm.
all of this, and it's like I always just wish that I had like a partner I could be like, hey, hey, you see that? That's pretty
Mhm.
crazy, right? And like, like I would be able to enjoy that with, but that's never been the case. And so I was like, I looked up at the sky, I was laying down, it was dark, and I saw a shooting star. And like I never really see a shooting star. I think I've only seen like one in my life. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a wish. So I made a wish. And I said, show me something. Give me a sign, or no, not a sign. I said, give me the strength to keep going. Those were my exact words. So the next day, I'm at this bar or something, or I'm at some like no, I was at the casino. I was at the casino and this girl's walking around, she's dressed as a server or whatever. And I just told them I totally had a moment like I did with the other girl that I'm interested in now, except it was on a different level. Like I could feel my energy, I could feel her energy, I could feel the intensity. Like I could feel it wasn't normal. I don't know if it was a full moon or something. I don't know what was going on, but like we connected and we just had one of those conversations that was like we talked about childhood, we talked about old age, we talked about parents, brothers, sisters, like you name it. We discussed it basically. Lived a lifetime. I always call it lived a lifetime in a moment,
Mm.
really quick.
Mhm.
But So I had this going on with this chick, and we kept running outside, and we were like talking to each other, and like I've always been like kind of ironically chivalrous and white knight. Like I'm really white knighty and shy, so I don't like make any moves. Like I'm just talking to her, and I'm like, I'm okay with like the mental aspect. And she told me so many things. She told me that she was a sociopath and she was a schizophrenic, and
Mm.
that she felt that she had two souls inside of her. And then when she told me that, I told her, only two? You must be lucky. And and then she said, from that moment we clicked, and like she took my phone, she drew like this cute picture, and I was like, I always got this thing for like artistic girls. I think I have a thing for artsy girls, but yeah, all my girlfriends have been like artists. But anyway, so she's like drawing, and we were like flirting, and we were doing whatever, and like it was funny because all of the guys were kind of like, trying to get her to like, give him a dance or do something, something sexual or whatever. And I told her, I said, look, why don't you just not do that? And like I think I just messed with her. Like I gave her like an indecent proposal or something. I don't know. I was definitely the mystery man. It was kind of hot. I was feeling myself that day. And I told her, I said, I gave her like $20, $30 or something. And I was like, you know what? I don't want a massage or whatever, they want you to do. I just want you to sit here with me. And she said she loved it. She went crazy. She lost her mind. She was like, this guy's got to be amazing. We had this moment. But anyway, long story short, because it's way longer. I mean, like we went outside many times. A lot of stuff happened. We connected. I mean, we're basically wanted almost falling in love in a moment. Like we hung out for like 6 hours, but we just went through so much, enjoying each other in that moment.
Mhm.
Man, and this is why I know that that was not really my wife, because I have a theory that my wife is out there somewhere, like this person that was programmed for me, that was destined for me. She's out there. But at that point was when I realized, yeah, that wasn't really her. And I think it's just her spirit or a ghost. But I have this weird theory that sometimes when I get really desperate, that God gives me like a snippet of of what I could have, or my full bliss that I want,
Mhm.
and he's like, all right, that's the carrot and stick. So that night, that's what happened. That was the carrot, and the next day I called the girl, and she didn't even know who I was, and I never saw her again in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the second time it happened. And so like the third time it happened was with this girl that I actually like. So immediately I said, God, whatever spirit you just put in this woman, please let it stay there. Please.
Mhm.
Please. I'm talking about like I literally begged for this one because I really like her, and I want someone that can feel me and understand me and talk to me, and like so I have my hopes set on this one. And when I talked with the girl, it was a similar experience. Like I could feel the hair standing up. I could feel the connectivity as we were connecting about childhood traumas. And we had similar lunch experience, skipping lunch. And it's funny is I told her about the story. I didn't tell her. I told you about the story where I had the lunchroom scam last time. And then
Mhm.
when I talked to her, it's funny because she went to like the same school I went to, but she's like 5 years behind me. So she basically was like, yeah, I used to steal my friend's lunch number all the time. And I was like, so that was still a thing. Like, and it was nice for me because I got to catch up and really see, like, like everybody was doing that, So
Mm.
I felt, I felt proud of it. I could take credit for that. There's a lot of things I take credit for. Like, I killed Blockbuster. A lot of
Did
people don't
you?
know that. Yeah, definitely took them out of business. I was always good at stealing. I would do this thing where I would go and pretend to buy stuff while I was stealing stuff, and it was
Mm.
easy. So then like when the detectors went off, they would just assume that I was buying things,
Yeah.
and they would just let me walk out with like all the stolen stuff.
Mhm.
And it just got to the point like I even got caught one time. This guy caught me. I was loading up. I was loading up on games. Like I had like six in my pocket. And he was like, "Hey, you need me to return those for you?" And then I said, "Yes, I do." I need you to. I just started pulling them out of my pockets. I was like, "Yep, put these back for me. I don't think I'm gonna rent these," and I just ran out of there. That was the only time I almost got caught. But every time I'm about to get caught, like I always get lucky with somebody like that, and I'm just like, thank you, God. So it's a catch-22. He's nice, but he's also sour. So it's like a Sour Patch Kid. You know,
You're a
for
Sour
that.
Patch Kid or God is a Sour Patch
God
Kid?
is definitely a Sour Patch Kid.
I see.
But he's really nice. Like that little snippet that he gave me it did give me the strength to keep going because I felt like she's out there, even if that wasn't her, right?
Mm,
The fact
mhm.
that I could connect to this person that was clearly a psycho, um, and I mean I know she was because she told me things. She told me that she had a twin sister at birth, and that her twin sister died. But she said when she was young, someone told her that she ate her twin soul and her soul is still inside of her. And she told me
Hmm.
she felt like it was true, and that's why she thought she was a schizophrenic.
Oh.
And so I told her that there's nothing wrong with being a schizophrenic, but you have to have a unison between these two. And there's a Marvel show, this guy called Moon Knight. He's a schizophrenic superhero, so he has no idea he's a superhero. So at night, he goes to sleep and he wakes up. He's a Moon Knight. Middle of the night he wakes up. He's beating the hell out of bad guys. But he goes back to sleep. He's like, man, I'm tired. What the hell did I do last night? And he has no idea that he's sharing the body with a complete different personality. But that interests me because at the end, basically, the camaraderie that he found between the two souls that were inside of him was how he really got to his pivotal moment. And
Mm.
I think that life is a lot like that. Like we all have a conscience, right? We all have that one voice that's like, no, don't do that. And that in essence is our other soul or our other side. And I think the conversation, the dialogue between the two is how we really just find that perfect flow that we were talking about.
Yeah, that's interesting. I do believe in this perfect flow. I do believe that like there's certain things that work out really well. I've had that experience. I think I've mentioned before on videos, like I struggled as a musician when I studied music. And then it's only recently that I've been getting really crazy, like great gigs that I just feel really happy to do and
Okay.
proud, yeah, of my skill level. And I was reading also recently about this. I wish I could remember the name of the song, but I think it's called Indian Disco is the album. It's about this woman who like came up, is the voice on this Indian disco album from like the 70s or whatever. And then they
Okay.
basically sold like 1,000 copies, but now it's like gotten onto YouTube and has like millions of YouTube hits, and like a bunch of DJs will play it because they're like, yeah, it's cool because it's like a dance song, but it's kind of a throwback and you know. And so
Okay.
she learned from her son, like just recently, like a couple years ago or whatever, 2019, that she finally is famous for this song that she recorded in the 70s.
And she got famous later.
Yeah, and so she's talking about how she's gonna like, work on her voice again, and she's like just has like a new lease on life. But I think, there are stories of really crazy bad things happening, and there are stories of really crazy good things happening. And I just think when you are living your life's purpose, you tend to see opportunities that you don't see if you are living your life for someone else or for a bunch of other
Yeah,
people.
I could agree with that.
Mm.
I could definitely agree with that. I think that the goal for most of us is to be able to tap in or be in touch with that flow and just live our lives, like our best lives.
Yeah, like the old couples
So
that you were saying before.
that old couple, but I was gonna tell you about, especially about the music. Like, there's a lot of things that I wanted to cover with you about myself personally. So I gave up like a couple like things like music and like hand to eye coordination. A lot of those things I can't do. And I just accepted that. Like when people ask me, like this girl asked me, she was like, "You want to dance? Can you dance?" I said, "I can't dance." And she's like,
Mhm.
"Why?" And I tried to tell her, I was like, "Because I'm a robot." And she's like, "What does that mean?" I was like, "I can't feel rhythm because I can't feel things." And she just didn't understand what I was saying because I told her, I said, I'm disconnected from feeling. Like I can't feel anything. So I can't really like rhythm, that's not my thing. And unfortunately, because of that, I can't play basketball, which really sucks as a African American. Like, you always want to go play basketball with your friends or the guys or whatever, and it's just like, it's embarrassing. You don't have coordination, you can't do a layup. I can't do a layup. That's how bad
Mhm.
it is. So when I gave these things up, it was like when I was playing this MMO. To play an MMO and work a job and not just be a college student, you have to dedicate your time to a certain percentage of the game. You can't explore everything.
Mhm.
So basically, it's like what I feel is I know I can't dance, right? But what I can do is some pretty amazing things. Like I can feel energy, you know, like I can feel ghosts. That's pretty cool, like
Mhm.
so I think I can give up a couple of things like, like dancing and stuff. Like I think I'm gonna try to dance, but I really just don't feel it. Like I mean, like at all. Like I don't know. I tried it, and then I tried like like we were talking about musician. I played the drums, but like I can't I can't rhythm. So it's like I was kind of just like guessing, and I would be that one off drum that was like
Oh,
late on the
no.
note. Yeah. So that's I don't know about me. I feel like you got to know yourself, and I know myself. So I can't dance, but I can do a lot of amazing things. So I'm satisfied with that. You know.
Yeah, so true. So true. Well, it was really good talking with you again. Do you have like any kind of parting thoughts or anything that we didn't talk about you want to share?
Um, no, just apologizing because I can't organize my thoughts, but it's I'm sorry, it's just difficult for me because they're just so scatterbrained. And then you could say something that'll trigger another thought, and it's like I don't want to not talk about it. It's like because you never know what you're gonna learn from, or you might get a revelation there.
Yes. No,
So,
you did a
but
good job keep coming back to it. You were like, "Yeah, back to the promiscuous woman again."
yeah, yeah. Well, that really changed my life. So, I ended up that was after I, found out about the word sociopath and I went down this spiral and I would literally have days where I was just like spiraling out of control. But that and the fact that this happened the day after I prayed for it just basically was just like, it's just like quit being a big baby. It's the moral of it, like you should be happy. You have a great connection with God, you're blessed, you have talents, a lot of things you can do, like but if I wanted a woman, I could get a woman. But the thing is like I gave up on the relationships because I don't want a woman that's going to be controlled. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah.
I need a woman that has a mind that can rival my own so that she could be her own individual and bring something to me. Like
Right.
most of my relationships have always been me growing the woman into a more mature person or me trying to help her or stuff like that, which, like I told you, ended up being clickbait, basically. I clicked on it. God
Mm.
was like, gotcha. This is really a project. And I'm like, okay, here we go. So that happened to me all over again, and it happened to me with yeah, pretty much every relationship I've ever been in was just a facade.
Dang
Yeah,
it.
yeah, great. But I
And it
have hopes, and I'm praying about this next one. And I really didn't say it at all, but I'm definitely totally probably in love. I don't know. Just because she's just because she's a psycho. Just because
Yeah.
I know she has those tendencies. And I always knew it because I could feel it because I told you I have the detector. But like
Mm.
we were just in a little friend group. We were never really talking. But as soon as she started talking, I was like, confirmed. Yep, confirmed. And I'm like listening, and then I'm like, yep, confirmed. Oh. Wow, amazing. And then she does like this little weird detective thing. I was like, I don't know which drink is mine. They're both identical. And she does like this, she brings out this like detective thing. Like I feel like Sherlock Holmes, and she's like, I know the chips were over here approximately 30 minutes ago, and there was a drink next to the chips. So that means that this drink was brought in before. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. And I just listened. I was just watching. And then she was like, but if we really want to do this scientifically, there's condensation out the yin yang over here. So therefore, this is the old drink. I was like, I love this woman. Like it's over with. Like it is over. Like, and the funniest thing is she was animated when she did it. She like stood up and like did like a rectangle and did like this weird little walk while she was doing it. And it
Mhm.
was freaking hilarious. And I
Mhm.
realized like her personality is actually what I want,
Yeah.
even though she's beautiful. But
Mhm.
I, I will, and I know that she's interested in this, and I know a lot about the future. Like I know one day she'll probably end up watching this. I know she will.
Mhm.
And I hope on that day she realizes that I really was in love with her and I wanted to say a lot of sappy things that I never did. And I'm just trying to hope that I can remember them for when, if she gives me a chance. Like, I hope I can remember them and be like, when you were sad this day, I really want to tell you, you look beautiful. Don't be sad. But I can't because it's just not my place. And I don't, I'm not overstepping my boundaries anymore. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not, I don't know. But yep, that's it. That's all. I'm gonna try to stay focused, and I really enjoy talking with you. It's beneficial for me. Like you have no idea.
Well, I really enjoyed talking with you. Hopefully, we can get an update. Big fingers crossed on this new girl, and we'll get you on for part 3 to find out what ends up happening if the
Yeah, that would be. Oh, that's embarrassing. But yeah, that would be interesting.
All right,
Okay.
we'll chat you soon.
All right. Thank you for having me.